What up, people? It's Nickopz here. I just uploaded this video like 5 minutes ago, and I noticed there were some audio issues. So that sucks because that video went really good the first take. So I'm not redoing this video again. So forgive me if I mess up anywhere as I'm talking about this, because I'm just going to keep the video going because that was a lot of time wasted. That video came out perfect too, but let's hope I get it and a good take with this video as well. So let's start. What I want to talk about today is Mortal Kombat's Last Chance, Mortal Kombat 1. Now, Mortal Kombat 1 has been a game that is, see right here, I'm messing up, not restarting the video, but the thing with Mortal Kombat 1 is a lot of people are not happy with the game, and rightfully so. NRS has been putting out half a products for years. They have been putting out half baked products. They haven't been doing anything innovative. They are comfortable, kind of like how Pokemon is comfortable and why they were so scared when Power World came out. But NRS is just comfortable right now. They know that no matter what, when they drop a game, it's going to do decent in sales no matter what. And it really doesn't matter how good the game is. They know they can half A it and it's whatever. Kind of like how Call of Duty does too. So the point I'm trying to make with this video is to talk about that this is their last chance. NRS only has, when we get around this time in the NRS life cycle, around the 3, 4, like 5 months, this is when we see what they are going to do with the game. Now, NRS has been promising us for years, and I genuinely do mean years. They have been promising us a game like Street Fighter and Tekken. Not a game that plays like them, but how they how Tekken and Street Fighter basically get supported is the game comes out, it's a really big thing for the first year or so it's out, and then they keep updating the game to keep the game alive. And how NRS usually works is the game comes out, they and then there's another game in like 2 to 3 years. This is the longest they've been without making another game. So that's how their life cycle works. But actual fighting games, they come out with the game and then they just support it for years. That's what they do. Now, obviously, NRS didn't want to do that because they were too scared of what could happen. They could end up, doing really good with doing that, making a lot of money off of that, or they could end up losing a lot of money because that's not what their clientele is used to. So I think that's why they were scared to pull the trigger on that. But nevertheless, we've gotten to this point now where it's make or break time for the game. A lot of people are not happy. The other two of the big three, Street Fighter 6, you got Tekken 8, and then you got Mortal Kombat. The other two of the big three are doing good, but MK1 is not doing good. And usually, if you would have told me even a couple of days ago that they could compete with, like, even Tekken could compete with MK in sales, I would have just been like, yeah, whatever. But no, Street Fighter 8 is actually not Street Fighter 8. Tekken 8 is actually selling very well, like very surprisingly well. And I think that people are kind of judging it unfairly, comparing it to Mortal Kombat, because I'm not going to be the advocate for it. Well, I'm kind of going to be the advocate for it because Street Fighter and Tekken, those games take years to come out. Tekken 8 took years upon years to come out. Like, actually, I think around 9 years to come out. And NRS games come out pretty quick. And by this time, like, NRS has sold, I think they posted in January something, they sold 3 million copies. And Tekken came out like a couple weeks ago and it already sold 2 million. So that comparison is kind of crazy. Like, compared to an NRS game, it shows how much money they could be making if they actually gave a crap and did their jobs for once, instead of just relying on the IP to get them a lot of money. They could be making more money if they actually, wait for it, cared about the game. Like, this is like the third game in the row where they have not just been putting in the work, and it's starting to show finally. I'm happy that they are finally starting to get some repercussions for them putting out half a products. It couldn't have happened to a better company. It couldn't have happened. But like I said, this is make or break time, and That is because of this character right here. We got Mr. John Cena. You can't see this image. Peacekeeper right here. This character is going to determine whether, not the character, but this patch is going to determine whether the game does really good for a bit or it's just completely done. Like, they can get away with doing a little something here. They can get, it would be great if they did a lot, but if they do not bring the heat with this patch even a little bit, the game's done. It's really done, especially with the other two doing good and NRS players finally not being scared to actually try other fighting games. Yeah, it's going to be hard for them to come back if this next patch is really bad. And I'm hoping it's not. Like, the patch being really bad, I can imagine if it's like, if Peacekeeper comes out and he's not good, and then on top of that, we don't get a balance patch, and then on top of that, they just don't add anything else in the game for people to do, and crossplay is bad. We get stuck. We get another crossplay beta for freaking almost the end of the game's life cycle, like with MK11. And to bring up MK11, some people must be new here because I've been seeing some people in the comments talking about when I say that MK11 and Dragon Ball Fighters are bad games. There's a couple people in the comments starting to question that. First things first, Dragon Ball Fighters is the worst fighting game I have ever played in my life, and almost every pro player who plays that game, even though like mainly the OG ones, will tell you that that game is piss. That game is terrible. If you think that game is good, you don't know what you're talking about. And the number one thing people like to say, oh, if you don't like it, you're probably just bad. I was literally top 100 in that game on leaderboards. I have the proof. I have a video about me talking about the game. That game is freaking terrible. So if you think that game is good, you do not know what you're talking about, and you don't understand fighting games. So I don't want to hear anything you have to say if you think that game's good. That game's terrible. Is it good for an anime game? Sure. But is it a good fighting game? No. And to MK11, now I feel a little differently about MK11. Like MK11, I feel like what makes me mad about MK11 is the game was so close to being good, and then they just stopped supporting it. MK11 could have easily been their best game if they literally just put a little work into the game and actually supported the game. The game could have been phenomenal, but they didn't, and I am like irritated because of that, because the game was so close to being perfect, and it was the game that really, grew my channel a lot. That game could have had a special place to me and everything, but they just didn't support it well, and that's why I don't like MK11, because it was so close to being good, but they just announced after promising that they were going to support the game, like, yeah, we're just not going to support it no more. We're going to release a $40 DLC that's like, like 3 hours long, and then bye, leave. Like, we don't care. So that's why I feel the way I do about MK11. So back to the video. This patch is going to make or break the game, in my opinion. What I think they're going to do is I think they're going to actually step up their game a little bit for this patch. I obviously could be wrong, but they see that they're getting a lot of flack for the game, and now they're starting to hit their pockets finally because they see how good Tekken 8's selling. I'm hoping they'll, actually do their jobs for once and see, okay, we need to add this, we need to add this, we need to do this. Like, it's okay to do stuff that other games do. I don't know why companies are so bent on being too original. Like, everybody copies something in games. Like, the best way I can put it is Dead by Daylight. Dead by Daylight is the top selling asymmetrical horror game out right now, and no other horror game has been able to touch it. Like, Friday almost did, but they got sued. So every game that comes out around that genre keeps trying to do their own thing. We're like, no, we're just trying to do our own thing. We don't want to be like Dead by Daylight. But Dead by Daylight's the only game that's selling. So why don't y'all copy upon what they're doing and do it better? Like, competition is good. It inspires developers to actually do something. Like, but that's just the point I'm trying to make. There's NRS, they could do some stuff that Street Fighter and Tekken have been doing, because they are the ones that are ahead now. They are ahead of the curve now. NRS is no longer ahead of the curve. Like, people used to say, oh, graphics all the time, but Tekken 8 and Street Fighter 6 looks just as good as MK1. If not, I honestly think Street Fighter 6 looks a little better. A little better. But with this new patch coming out, I'm hoping, first of all, that Peacekeeper is not bad. I think DLC characters should always come out strong. Like, at least high A tier. I personally think they should come out S tier, but A tier is fair. Because the problem with releasing a weak character, there's some people, if you didn't buy the pass, you got to pay for the character. So having to pay for a character that's just weak doesn't make no sense. I don't care how much you like the character aesthetically. There's no reason for a DLC character to be weak. And they're usually not, for the most part. But in any game, there's no reason for a DLC character to be weak, because a DLC character comes out after the game is already out. The developers know how the game works and they know how the game is played. So usually that's why the DLC characters are strong, because they can build upon how they know the game is played already. So if Peacekeeper comes out weak, that's going to be, disappointing, especially when we're in a content drought, because they usually make their pure zoners like not that strong in NRS games. Not NRS games, in the Mortal Kombat games. Like, yeah, we have some strong pure zoners, but they usually have something else. But if he ends up being a pure zoner, which I think he is, there's going to be a chance that he could be weak. So hopefully he doesn't end up like that. Hopefully he's a good character, and hopefully we get a actual good balance patch. A lot of people been wanting me to make a video talking about a potential, what I think they should do with the cameo system, like how they should overhaul it. And I do want to make the video, but I'm kind of holding off a bit because NRS actually does their job for once and make a new patch that comes out with, a lot of cameo changes. Then there would have been no point of me making that video. And that video is going to take a lot of time to make. So we're going to see how that goes. To recap on the video, this patch could end up making or breaking the game. What I'm hoping we get is a good balance patch. Peacekeeper is good, and crossplay is not broken. That's a good start to where they can start building upon the game. Like always, I feel like NRS thinks we ask for a lot, but we really don't. Like, a lot of people would be fine with the bare minimum, and all they have to do is the bare minimum with this patch for people to be happy, but they should do more, because this patch is going to make or break the game. Because now that the other two games are doing good out of the big three, out of Tekken, we got Tekken, Street Fighter, and Mortal Kombat. The other two are doing just fine. It's MK1 is the one that's struggling. So we'll see how it goes. I hope y'all enjoyed the video. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And Nickopz out.